concluding the week of Tiferet will be the Sfirah of Malchut of Tiferet. The whole week we were talking about beauty, that Tiferet is beauty. And we know that Malchut is kingdom, kingship, which the Malchut, you want to apply it into something holy, what's called Malchut Kedusha, holy Malchut. Now, in the characteristics of being a leader, there's some type of a beauty there. A good leader is able to take after him a lot of people. Unfortunately, sometimes people use it for a very negative way, but we want to concentrate on positive things. A good leader is able to take after him a lot of people. Why? Because there's some type of a beauty in leadership. And sometimes you see a great rabbi or a great scholar or a great leader that is able to be so charismatic that everybody's like, wow, and they want to go and follow the person. So we see that in the characteristics of leadership, there's beauty. And a leader, to be a good leader, he needs to be very charismatic, to have a certain charm. I've never seen a leader that is not likable. Even a horrible leader, and I don't want to mention names of some other leaders, but because they were charismatic, they were able to carry after them so many people, even to do evil things. Even if you want to take it to completely the opposite side of Kedusha, if you look even at a leader like Hitler, Yimach Shemo, he had the certain charisma to be able to take after him thousands and thousands of people, even to a wrong way. But nevertheless, he had the quality, a charismatic quality. We don't want to concentrate now on negative leaders. There's enough of them. There's actually more negative leaders than positive leaders. But a leader, a real good leader, has a certain charisma and it has a certain charm. And we always see that Malchut, the kingship and leadership, is always connected with beauty. Where do we see that? Then we always like going to our sources. And the Torah, many times, if you really actually read the Torah, because most people, they know how to criticize the Torah, but they never read the Torah. That's the majority of people. They know how to badmouth the Torah, how to complain, and definitely how to criticize it. And then you ask them, have you ever read the Torah? No, I read some. Well, first read everything, then criticize it. The ones who have the most complaints on the Torah never actually read it. But if a person does read the Torah, if you read it, what's called be'iyun, when you really look through the words, you find that there's so many things that don't make sense, and you don't understand why the Torah placed this verse there. And most people, they just zoom through the Torah and they don't even notice really what they're reading. Now we're in Parashat Omer, and we were talking about it in the first classes in the week, in the classes of the Zohar, and we were presenting a question. Have you noticed that it says in the beginning of the parasha, Emor el hakohanim ve'amarta alehem? That doesn't even sound grammatically correct. Say to the Kohanim and then tell them. You just told me to say. Why are you telling me again 3 words after that to say again? So we went and we explained it based on different opinions. What this rabbi said, what that rabbi said. But you find in the Torah so many times a word or a sentence that doesn't make sense. Or it's totally not placed in the, so to say, in the right place. And then of course you can take it to the next level. And I'm not only talking about the 5 books of Moshe, the Chumash, rather you go into the Tanakh. And sometimes there's verses, especially in the books of prophets, that you're like, doesn't even make sense, doesn't have any connection to the verse before. But nevertheless, the Torah is the source of everything. Anything you want to find out about, you'll find it in the Torah. Nothing exists in this world without having a source in the Torah. The Zohar says that when the Kadosh Baruch Hu wanted to create the world, he looked at the Torah and then he created the world. So in the Torah, you'll be able to find sources for everything. So when certain times I teach certain things, not always I take the time to say where I find the source or where I read it. I know certain rabbis that whatever they say, what I'm saying now I found in this book. What I'm saying now I found in this book. I don't like wasting a lot of time. First of all, to some extent, it sounds a little bit showing off. Well, you just, I know it, I came from here, but nevertheless, sometimes people think that I invent things. People say, where are you bringing what you're saying from? Why are you inventing new things? Somebody told you that somebody complained not too long ago. He says, I don't like your classes. I said, okay, you don't have to like my classes. I'm not looking to be popular. So he says, no, you teach other people's stuff. What do you want me to teach? You want me to invent things? Of course I teach other people's stuff. I read a book and then I come and give it to you. You think I invented something? That I'm sitting at home at night and I'm like, okay, let me invent something now, then I'll come and sound very popular and very original. I read a book and then I teach it. So of course I teach other people's stuff. So the point is that I don't take the time always to say, this I found in this book, or this I found in that book. But nevertheless, everything has a source to it. And any good rabbi that teaches, he will take a book, a reference, read it. Sometimes a good rabbi, even better, will take 10 books and then put them all together to become one class. Sometimes people think that I come and sit here and I just pull out of my pockets information. Sometimes to give a half an hour class takes 6 hours to prepare the class, to read this book and to read that book and to read this reference and to now pull from the database from the last 20 years. Oh, I remember I learned this one and that. Sometimes I prepare a class and what I come and say in the class is completely what I wasn't even planning on saying. The point said is that everything has a reference, everything has a source. Some people, and that I hear a lot, people come and say, oh, Rabbi so-and-so said this and that. I never heard such a thing. Where did he find it from? You know how many times I hear from people telling me, Rabbi so-and-so, I heard him say this and that. Well, bring me the source. I never heard such a thing. Not that I'm a walking dictionary in the Torah, but I never heard such a thing. Show me the source. I'll read the source. I'll tell you if it's authentic or not. And you know what? You find out that many people out there, they don't know what they're talking about. They're just throwing all sorts of things out to the air. They have a crowd, because today all you need is a camera and you broadcast yourself on Facebook, suddenly you have a crowd. And then the junk that comes out of people's mouths sometimes is unbelievable, and people believe that and listen to that. So any good student always will want to see what's the reference, what's the source, where are you bringing it from. So we made such a detour to explain one thing, because I said that Malchut, the leadership and kingship, is always connected to beauty. So I wanted to, in Hebrew we say, Lagdim trufa lamaka, to give the medicine before the sickness. There is a verse in the book of Yeshayahu, in Isaiah 33, in chapter 33, verse 17, where it says, Melech beyofyo techezena enecha, the king in his beauty shall your eyes behold. Which saying, in other words, that a king has to be beautiful. Not beautiful how he looks, the actions, the charisma, the charm. Can you imagine what charisma Moshe Rabbeinu had? Of course he had enemies. If a leader doesn't have enemies, something's wrong with the leader. So that's a rule. So of course Moshe Rabbeinu had some enemies. But can you imagine the charisma of Moshe Rabbeinu, how he looked? I can't even imagine to see a Moshe Rabbeinu. And sometimes you see these amazing leaders in our past, you see beauty. Besides that, there is a halacha that a king has to always carry himself nice and beautiful and organized, combed, neat, not like a shloch, what they say. But nevertheless, so we learn from this pasuk that beauty will always be connected to leadership and what's called malchut, kingship. So, very long preparation to what I wanted to say, but we're all expecting Mashiach to come any moment. Amen. Most people don't even know what they're expecting, but they want something to happen. They want to change. So they choose a certain political figure or whatever. They don't understand where the change is going to come from. But the fact is that we're all waiting for Mashiach. Jews and non-Jews alike. There's no difference. Everybody's waiting for the Savior. They see that the world is already going down the toilet. And they think maybe another leader will be able to change anything. Any world leader will not going to be able to do anything. The only one that can now save the day is only Mashiach. And we're all waiting for Mashiach. Why are we waiting for Mashiach? Not because we can't stand already the exile. And because we had enough, as it says. Because when we were in a state of the opposite of exile, it was beautiful. And in the time of exile, we lost this beauty. And if you look around you, yeah, you'll see some physical things that are beautiful. But people, how they behave is not beautiful. My situation is not, we lost some charm here. We lost the beauty. Even, you know where you see it? It manifests into physical things that everywhere you go, the streets are dirty, this is dirty, houses are falling apart. Everything around you is already a manifestation that we lost this beauty. So you see beautiful things, but it's like a patch over a patch and over a patch, and everywhere you go, you see dirt on the floor, and it's growing and growing. So really, one of the many reasons why we're so waiting for Mashiach, so Mashiach is going to bring the beauty that was lost in the exile. Can you imagine how beautiful the world is going to look when Mashiach is going to be here? I'm not talking about necessarily physical. Physical, the world will be beautiful. No garbage, no pollution, no junk, no dirt. Everything would look nice and pretty. Can you imagine how beautiful? But also the beauty in people. Sometimes you walk around and the whole day everybody's attacking you, everybody's rude to you, everybody's turning against you, and you're like, what's going on with humanity? What's going on with people? There's no love, there's no friendship. And so we're waiting for Mashiach to come because he's going to bring this lost beauty that was lost in the exile. And this exile is already for 1950 years exactly. Some people say we're in exile for 2,000 years. Don't add 50 years for our exile. We're in exile 1950 years. That's it. A lot of people round it up. Yeah, 2,000 years in exile. Oh, now to bring me another 50 years of exile. Nevertheless, just imagine how the world looked when we had Bet HaMikdash. In the first Bet HaMikdash, that was to wake you up. The first Bet HaMikdash was built, of course, by Shlomo HaMelech, by King Solomon, and he brought peace to the world. At the time when he was king, the world was in a state of peace. All the nations came to Jerusalem with their sacrifices. Everybody came to see this wonder. And you see the hint is in his name. His name is Shlomo. Shlomo is the same word as shalom, peace. There was peace around the world. Everybody wants peace, talking about peace. Some don't want peace. They just want to kill. But nevertheless, this is one thing that we're waiting for Mashiach to bring this beauty back. Now, till Mashiach comes, then you know how we call Mashiach? We call him Melech HaMashiach. We don't just call him Mashiach. And Melech HaMashiach is going to be a king. He's going to be the king of the entire world, not a king of one country. He's going to be the king of the entire world. But nevertheless, when we're taking the aspect, the idea, the concept of a king, and we spoke about it last week in Malchut of Tiferet, and we spoke about it 2 weeks ago in Malchut of Tiferet, that each and every one of us can be a king in my area. I can be a king in my home, over my wife and my kids. And we spoke about that also a lot of times. A king is a giver. A king is not the one who gives orders. Yes, there are men that will go into the house and start throwing orders. That's not a king. A real king is the one who comes and gives. How can I give to my nation? David HaMelech was a king, he was a giver. Moshe was a king, he was a giver. Yosef HaTzadik was a king, he was a giver. A real king gives, doesn't take. The kings we have now or in history, they come and take taxes, they come and take power, they come and take land. A real biblical king is a giver. So each and every one of us can be a mini king, as it says. I can be a king on my congregation, a king on my workplace, on my workers, my family members, and so forth. But the point is that even if I'm a king on one person, forget now the word a king is somebody who gives over, and each and every one of us wants to be a king in my, so to say, in my territory. How do I become a king in my territories? That I don't look for the physical or the, I don't know exactly how to say it in English. In Hebrew it says yofi shikri, beauty that is based on a lie, fake beauty. So the way to do it is not to look for external beauty in things, not to look for the deception in beauty in things, rather to see the real beauty in things. That's really how one becomes a king. Because if I'm coming to take, then I'm only looking for what's ever externally beauty. When I'm coming to give, I'm looking at the internal beauty. So in order to understand it a little bit more in a profound way, so we counting Tiferet, Chesed Shebetiferet. So Tiferet, we spoke about it the entire week. This is beauty. But what is the soul, the essence of Tiferet? This is called Midat HaRachamim, the attribute of mercy. So we have Chesed is on the one side, Gvura is on the other side. When Gvura and Chesed are together, that it's birth Tiferet, and that's mercy, Rachamim. So if we want to learn it more based on the structure of the Sfirot, of the 10 emanations, then Tiferet will be mercy. What is Malchut? Malchut, we just explained it, that's leadership, kingship, and so forth, but really in corresponding to the Midot, Malchut is what's called Shaflut, when I'm humble, humility, that I humble myself. You know, a real king is humble. Now you see the leaders in our generation, the ego is so out of control. I am the leader, I run the shots, I call the shots, or I run the show. A true leader is very humble. Who was one of our greatest leaders of all is Moshe Rabbeinu, and he was humble. David HaMelech was humble. All our leaders are very humble. So Malchut, the essence, the neshama, so to say, of the Sfirah of Malchut is Shaflut, is being humble. So what do I have here? Then I have the Tiferet is Rachamim, mercy, and Malchut is being humble and humility. So Tiferet is the characteristic of a true leader, which is mercy. I have mercy. And the complete opposite of pride and ego. Now the leaders, it's all about ego and, you know, how much my ego is pumped up. And I don't want to name names, but you see how the leaders, it's all about ego. And a real leader is the complete opposite. A true leader, you'll see that Mashiach is going to be a very humble man. Moshe Rabbeinu had all the reasons in the world to have an ego. He's the only one who ever saw Hashem in his own, I mean, he didn't see Hashem's face, but talked to Hashem face to face. Hundreds of other prophets never ever spoke to Hashem when they were up. They only received prophecy while they're asleep. Moshe Rabbeinu speaks to Hakadosh Baruch Hu. Moshe Rabbeinu went up on the mountain and brought the Torah. Moshe Rabbeinu took the Jews out of Mitzrayim. Whoever did such a thing? Needless to say that he taught the Torah. He was extremely wealthy. He was handsome, powerful, rich, everything. So he had all the reasons why to be a potz, why to have an ego. But what does the Torah say about him? He was the most humble person ever. So a true leader is the person who humbles himself and has mercy. Now, again, we're talking here now about a great leader, but now we're going to take it to my own personal life. And like I said, each and every one of us is required to be a king, a queen, either way, of my territory. Now, I can give you an example. I'm a father. I walk into my house. I have a wife and kids that I'm the king over. Do I want to walk in and start giving orders and screaming and yelling and you do this and you do that? What kind of a king is that? That's not a king. That's a tyrant. A real king comes in the motion of I'm humble. Even I'm humble in front of my 3-year-old. In front of my 5-year-olds. I don't have ego of I know more than you. A smart individual doesn't look down at people. Smart people look up at people. Even if they're smaller in size, smaller in wisdom. That's a true smart individual. That's the leader that I want. I don't want a leader that is a putz, that has ego, that wants to rule over me. That's not a leader. A leader needs to lead me, not to step over me. So I want to take the characteristics of a perfect leader and apply it into my life. How do I become this king, what's called Bezeir Anpin, a mini king, in my territory, in my house, in my job, in my congregation? How do I really apply this chesed shebatiferet, this humility, this humbleness, but in a beautiful way, that it goes out in the form of mercy and love, is that I have to see around me if people find me, what they say, limtzo chen. There's not really a way to describe that or to translate in English, but we find it the first time in the Torah, where it says, V'noach matzah chen b'nei Hashem. Noach found beauty and grace in the eyes of Hashem. Hashem saw beauty in there. This is called limtzo chen. I want to see, the test here is if people find me, in a nice way. Now, there's always going to be the ones who can't stand you. This is not the test here. But you want to see around you what people, if you would be able to be a fly on the wall, what people say about you? He's kind, he's polite, he's charitable, he's gracious. I'm saying he, I don't want to say she because I don't want to sound, I'm saying on myself she, but he, she, same thing. You want to make a test. Do people around me, they like me, they fond of me, they find grace in me or not? Sometimes you have a boss, nobody stands the boss. Everybody hates him. Why you work there? Because I need a job. But I can't stand the boss. He's a potz, he's arrogant, he's bossing us around. Sometimes you go to certain offices, everybody loves the boss. Why? Because he's a mensch. He doesn't take his anger over everybody. He's not trying to rule everybody. So you want to make yourself a little test. How are the people around me, they see me? If everybody sees me as something negative, something wrong with me. Now again, you will never get 100% votes. There's no such a thing. Even the most popular person, even Moshe Rabbeinu, there were people that went against him. So don't get impressed by the ones who say things. Now, the thing is like this. This is the trick here. If I know that I'm a liar, I might not admit it to you, but I know it. If I speak Lashon Hara, I might not admit it to you, or if somebody will tell me I speak Lashon Hara, I will deny it, but I know it. You can't lie to yourself. So if you know what you're doing is right, and somebody's saying the opposite about you, you knowing that person is jealous or angry or despites you for some reason, but you know the truth. Now, if you know that you're doing something bad, and somebody says that you're doing that something bad, you can tell yourself, who am I kidding? That person is 100% right. So you are your own indication. If you want to lie to yourself, then this whole workshop will never work for you. You'll never be able to refine yourself if you lie to yourself. The first rule of self-refinement is don't lie to yourself. If you want to, I wouldn't suggest it, but you can lie to other people. But if you lie to yourself and you live in some type of denial, you'll be stuck in the same place where you are for forever. You'll never grow. This is the first step of your own self-growth, is stop lying. Because the lying is going to be the barrier that will prevent you from growing. Especially if you lie to yourself. So why do we get upset when people attack us? It's because they're right. If they wouldn't be right, they wouldn't get upset. If somebody will come and now and call me a thief, I'm not a thief, so I don't get upset. But if I am a thief, and somebody will come and tell me you're a thief, I will get upset. Why? Because you're onto me. So I get angry. Why are you exposing me? So, and again, I'm talking very general now. I'm not talking here in specific situations, because some situations can be explained different. What I'm trying to say is that my point in Sfirat Omer is my self-growth, in my refinement. The key to refinement, you have to be humble, and you definitely cannot lie. Because if you lie to yourself, you'll never grow. How do you grow? Is when you look in the mirror and you say, I gotta change. I'm loud, I'm vulgar, I'm always late, I'm not responsible. Who am I kidding? I'm not responsible. Who am I kidding? That's how I did my own 15-year journey. Who am I kidding? That's the term I used to use. Who am I kidding? Now when somebody comes and tells you, not too long ago somebody came and told me something, and it really annoyed me. I was so angry. And that person told me that. I was like, on the outside, I still had a nice smile. Everything looked relaxed. On the outside. On the inside, it was like a volcano. If you would be able to hear the noise, the fire inside. The outside, I was like, okay. And in the inside, I wanted to explode. That person said something so annoying. Oof. And it was a miracle that I didn't react. But Baruch Hashem, after 20 years of working on myself, I was able to contain this anger. Later on, I went home, I relaxed, and I was questioning myself, why are you so angry at this person? You know when somebody annoys you, what's going on in your mind? Ooh. You have a whole cabinet in your mind. I'm going to do this. I'm going to say that. That person, ooh, you can't even function with what's going on in your mind right now. And you're coming with all the comebacks and you start analyzing every word. Why didn't I say this? Why didn't I say that? I should have said this. So I was very troubled for a couple hours, and I was telling myself, why are you angry? Why are you so angry? Because that person came and said something. And you know what it boiled down to? That I said to myself, my own famous saying, who are you kidding? That person is 100% right. That's why you're upset. Because that person is right. And that person touched a nerve. That's it. Nobody else had the nerve or the courage to come and tell me that. That person obviously had the courage, came and told me, you did this, and you know why I got upset? Because she was right. End of story. So I used my own method. Who are you kidding? Who are you kidding? That person told you 100% right. That person showed you straight into your face your ugly angle, and you didn't like it. That's it. So very quickly the anger went down, and I was like, thanking that person, thank you for pointing it out. This can only work if a person knows how to humble himself, because I could burst out in anger and come back with my opinions or whatever I wanted. I could make that person this big. And would it be the right thing? No. It would just be my ego taking me on a trip of anger and arrogance. So I want to look around and try to figure out, don't question people because you're not going to get the right answer, but try to figure out how people see me. If I'm looking now at other people, it can be close people, it can be neighbors or whatever, how do they see me? Now, if I see that the majority will say that I'm not doing that great, then it means that something in my Malchut of Tiferet is wrong. It means I have to work on myself. If you would be able to send now a survey to all your friends, how would you rate me? Now, the reason why I tell you don't ask because people would lie to you. Nobody will tell you straight to your face, listen, you're loud, you chew with your mouth open, and you're always late, and I can't stand how you... Nobody will tell you that. Once in a blue moon, somebody will. You want to try to analyze. And it's very easy to analyze that. It's just to see. I can come now and try it. I'll give you a live example with my wife and me. How does my wife see me? Does she see me annoying? Does she look up to me? Does she see positive things? Does she see negative things? When I come home to the house, is there a smile on the face or like, So you can kind of see what people think about you, and you have to be very humble here. The test here is that you have to be humble, and it's every now and then you can ask somebody. But the point to take here is that if I see that people are annoyed with me, agitated, disrespectful, can't stand me, brush me off, whatever, something's wrong with me. I'm doing something that is wrong. Now again, if you have to have a good balance, because everybody will have people that won't vote for them. Like I said many times, Moshe Rabbeinu was also not so popular. On any person you can find the ones who will have something bad to say. But when you ignore that, I hear people say bad things about me. But when I ignore it, when I know it's 100% wrong. If I hear somebody say something bad about me, and trust me, I hear everything. I hear every word that is said of me, I hear. I hear the good and I hear all the bad. Baruch Hashem, walls have ears and the walls also like talk, because people like talking. So you know what he said about you? You know this people said about you? So I know everything what's said about me and who says that. And when I know it? When I look at the person in their face. By the amount of how many seconds it takes the person to take their eyes off me, I know how much Lashon Hara they spoke about me. So I see from far away who speaks about me and who doesn't. But I'm not taking it personal. If a person speaks about me and how we say in simple word, trashes me, if what that person is saying is 100% wrong, I don't take that person serious. Because I know it's coming from anger, it's coming from jealousy, it's coming from, I don't know what, hate. Of course, hate with no base. Usually it's come from jealousy. That's usually what happens. But if that person, I find out that person A said A, B, and C about me, and it's true, that's a whole different thing. So that's the analogy you have to make. I'm not saying it's easy. But again, how do you know to get affected from it or not? When it's true. If somebody comes and badmouths you, he did this, he did that, he says this, and you in your honest mind says, that's not true, I never said such a thing. It's not true, it's 100% true. Okay, so that person is not your fan. You ignore that person. That's not the person we're doing this exercise with. But when somebody comes and says to you, listen, it's the 7th time I set a meeting with you and you're always late. Okay, that person is telling you straight out to your face, this is something you're doing wrong. Don't get upset. I'm busy. Okay, I'm sorry, thank you for pointing it out. I know that I'm always late. I know I'm not so responsible. Don't get offended. Rather understand that if you want to look at it in a more Kabbalistic approach, the midah of Tiferet is damaged. Something is damaged in the midah. Yesterday you were asking, what's the whole thing with counting and everything? I have midot in me. I have 10 sfirot in me. It's called the 10 powers of my nefesh. I have in me midat Tiferet. And if that midah, this attribute, this characteristic will be damaged, it's not going to function well. So it's going to come out in my characteristic. So I have to fix the midah. It's almost like, to give you an example that's kind of easier to relate. Chas v'shalom, you have a pipe in the wall that exploded. How would you know that the pipe exploded? Because you start seeing water on the floor. Now in the beginning you can just wipe the water off, you can ignore it. But when the water is coming out and coming out and coming out, you can't ignore it anymore. Why? Because it's going to ruin everything. What do you need to do? Fix the pipe. It's not covering the water. If you're covering the water, then you didn't do anything. The pipe is the one that is broken. Break the wall, it will cost you money. Fix the pipe. Then you can cover everything up. So if inside of me there's a midah that is broken, so to say, how would it get broken? It can be broken from a sin, from many different things. But nevertheless, I have midot in me. I have midat chesed, midat gvura, midat tiferet. So if I'm behaving in a certain way that somebody else, authentic, it's all real, is not finding it in the nice way, something's wrong with my midat tiferet. And like again, to explain it again, if somebody's talking about me something that I didn't do and it's not true, okay, that person is just a hateful person. They resent me, they're jealous, whatever, so they're talking bad about me. That you ignore. But if your husband, your wife, your parent, your spouse, whatever, comes and tells you, listen, you're constantly doing this, you're doing this, don't get so hurt. This is the opposite of Miladat Malchut, the Geava. No, he's wrong. I didn't do that. No, you want to take the Malchut of Tiferet and to see, how do I humble myself to see that what is supposed to be beautiful is not. So that's what I mean, that Midat Tiferet is broken. Something is coming out not nice. And how do I fix it? When I apply the Malchut Tiferet, the humility. I'm humble to take your criticism, the constructive criticism, not because somebody hates me or is jealous or is angry at me. And then it means that Midat Tiferet, there's something wrong there. So it comes out in a not nice way. Because if I will do something good, and the midah, the attribute of Tiferet shines, then you know how you're going to look at me? You're going to look at me like, oh, he's so perfect. He's doing this so amazing. He's good here, he's good there. The midat Tiferet is well. If you make now a survey around people who are normal in your life, and they all will rate you at a high rate, which means your midat Tiferet is doing good. But if everybody rates you a low rate, it means your midat Tiferet is not good. The beauty is not coming out. How do you fix it? Malchut Tiferet, you humble yourself. Usually, how would you damage a midah like this? Is when a person has too much geava, too much pride, when they're looking for too much honor and respect. I want to be the number one. When a person puts too much geava out, pride, that's when it's going to damage the midah of Tiferet. And unfortunately, many people, they have it. What happens? They have too much geava, too much pride. They want too much honor and respect, so it damages, I'm talking more Kabbalistically saying, it will damage the midah of Tiferet, so their actions will be interpreted and affected other people in a not nice way. Then the person will come out as rude and arrogant, and I don't like this person, I don't like that, how the person speaks. Why? Because nothing's wrong with him, the midah is wrong inside, so there's a leak in the analogy of the pipe. So to summarize it, I know I went a little bit out, but the Tiferet of Malchut, the Malchut Tiferet, is to understand that Tiferet is the beauty in me. If that is damaged, it will not radiate beauty. I need to hear your criticism, the constructive criticism, not from my haters. My haters will not criticize me. They just badmouth me. That I don't even listen to. You know who I take serious? The ones who are close to me. If somebody on the other side of town wants to say that I'm a liar, or I'm a cheat, or I'm a thief, or I'm fake, they can say whatever he wants. How do they say in the words and bricks and stones will break my bones? How does it go? Yeah, neighbor never heard me. You think it takes somebody serious if I know that person is just jealous? He can say whatever he wants. I can care less. I care what the Kadosh Baruch Hu thinks. Now, if I know that what the Kadosh Baruch Hu thinks is not good, that's where I'm worried. Now, if people who are around me, my loved ones, family, spouse, friends, they come and tell me something when I know it's coming from a positive place. Thank you for pointing it out. How do you able to do that? Only when you apply the Malchut and you're able to humble yourself. So that woman who came and told me something that I wanted to explode, if there wouldn't be Malchut of Tiferet here, she would get a comeback. Oh yeah? Oh yeah? That's what you think about me? I'll tell you what I think about you. But the perfect example is that I luckily was able to humble myself to say, wait a minute, who am I kidding? She's right. She's 100% right. And she didn't say it from hate. She didn't say it from arrogance. She didn't say it from revenge. She said it because she cares. Because she does care. It's good criticism. So you choose how you take this criticism. So the practice here is that you don't get affected or excited about what your haters will say. Let them talk. It's not going to change anything. And you can't change it. But when somebody close to you comes and tells you something, you have to see if your Midat Tiferet is refined or not, and if it's not, there's something wrong with you. And only your humility and your Midat Anava, that you're humble, you'll be able to refine it. You're not going to apply that, then you'll be walking in the same place, like a treadmill. Walking and walking and walking and walking. Where did you go? I'm in the same place. I'm in the same place where I started. So the whole point is, how do I grow and refine myself? So Malchut of Tiferet, needless to say, is a very important step to take.